Joining us tonight all the way from Yaoundé is a good friend of ours, Simon Lyonga. He's sports editor of Cameroon Radio and TV. Simon, thank you so much for joining us tonight. First and foremost, what's going on? I don't get it. Never in my life have I seen a team as divided. And you were recently in Uganda with the Cameroonian national team. They were facing Zimbabwe, I believe. Even there in Zimbabwe, in Harare, they took this show of shame there, where I believe if I recall correctly, you told me that 2 buses were provided at the airport, one by FECAFOOT, one by the sports ministry. The players were now asked to go into whichever bus they wanted to go into, and the coach Marc Brys went into the bus provided by the sports ministry, and the players said that they will go into whichever bus their coach was going into. They followed him into the sports ministry bus. It was the FECAFOOT officials who took. It's just an absolute. I don't know what to say, but what's going on?
Well, Tunde, let me begin by saying good evening to you out there. Good evening to your co-panelists. Remember, some time ago on this show, we talked about the genesis of the whole saga. We talked about it with the 10th of February speech by the President of the Republic after the shameful exit at the African Cup of Nations in Côte d'Ivoire. When the President said he's going to put an eye in the management of Cameroon's football. And since then, things have not been the same. We've been having announcements, contract reviews, and so on. Like what you talked about. But before we go into what really happened, this evening, the FA has just come out with a communique saying that what has been circulating on social media as suspension of Marc Brys is all fake, that they never held a board meeting, and so Marc Brys remains in place. So that is the latest from what you got out there. And if you must have noticed, the letter that you got on social media was not signed, wasn't signed. I think it was just a way of, let's say, throwing the stick into the river to see how the crocodiles will react, then know what to do next. Because already in Kampala, when we were coming back at the airport, the officials of FECAFOOT who were there were already telling us that Wednesday is going to be the high point of Cameroon's football. And we were like, what is going to happen on Wednesday? And they told us, you people just wait and you'll hear. You'll see the communique when it comes out. So the communique comes out, they test the ground with it, and they discovered that the backwash was very violent. Everybody was against it. And they now signed a communique telling Cameroonians that it is fake news and that it is people who are enemies of the Federation who put that out. So we don't know what to say, but that is the reality now. Now, you talked about the bosses in Kampala, but not only Kampala. First of all, was in Garo for the match Cameroon versus Namibia. Remember, the match was supposed to be played in Douala. The government of Cameroon canceled the game in Douala and said it should be played in Yaoundé. And Samuel Eto'o and his team said they cannot play any match in Yaoundé, so they're taking the match to Garo. It became a tug of war between the FECAFOOT, government officials. At the end of the day, the Prime Minister of Cameroon held a meeting with the players and told them to go and play anywhere in Cameroon because it is part of Cameroon. It became a political issue. And so the match was taken to Garoua. We got to Garoua and discovered that there were 2 hotels reserved for the Lions. There was a hotel reserved by the sports ministry, and there was a hotel reserved by the FECAFOOT. The coach decided to go to the hotel reserved by the ministry because, don't forget, it is the ministry that signed him as coach of Cameroon, and it is the ministry that is paying him. FECAFOOT is not paying him. So he decides to go to the hotel of the person who is paying him. He who pays the piper calls the tune. And that's exactly what he did. And he finished the game, and we took off straight to the airport in Garoua, where we're going to Uganda for the match the following Tuesday. And all of a sudden, we see an influx of FA guys, because the FA had reserved a flight to Kampala for the next day. But when they learned of the fact that the Ministry of Sport had already reserved a flight for that day, that same day of the game, after the game, we went straight to the airport. They also rushed to the airport and they jumped into the aircraft. Since it was a special plane, there was nobody to stop them. jumped into the aircraft. We got to Uganda, same thing, same scenario. 2 buses, 2 hotels, 2 heads of mission, 2 advanced missions. And the coach said, okay, I'm going to go into the bus of the ministry. And they asked the players, where are you going to? And they told the FA officials, we are going into the bus that our coach is going to get into. And that was Onana saying it.
So it seems you people in Cameroon have plenty of money. This one that you're hiring 2 buses, 2 hotels, 2 different airlines. There's plenty of money in Cameroon. But I think you have a question for Samuel.
Yeah, Samuel, I have a question. Some of the issues that were raised in the communique, although you have said that it was not signed, these are issues that could be contained in the contract. And I'm wondering, were they not included in his contract? There are issues that should be in the contract. It shouldn't even be a bone of contention between the coach and whoever employed him. And right now, we don't even know who employed.
We know who employed him.
Did he sign a contract with the ministry?
With the ministry, yes.
The ministry, he signed a contract with the ministry or FECAFOOT?
With the ministry.
With the ministry. Then what is going on? Those issues, were they not contained?
With the ministry and not the FA.
Yes, so those issues, were they not contained in the contract, or was that contract not made public?
Of course it was. It was made public. For now, he has not breached any of the rules when it comes to his employer. As concerns his employer, that's the ministry, because he has attended all the meetings of the ministry. He has published his list with press conferences according to the program of the ministry. So he has no problem with the ministry, and that's why the ministry thinks there's nothing to be done to him. Now, Samuel and the FA, to an extent, they cannot fire him because they did not sign him, they did not bring him into Cameroon, and they did not sign a contract with him. So even if they go on air today, sign a communique, firing Marc Brys and appointing 2 other Cameroonians to replace him, I think it's just a far cry in the whirlwind. Those 2 coaches that are talking about were with us in Uganda. They came there, they were not, whenever there is a match, the pre-match preparatory meeting, they fill the names of the technical team that's going to sit on the bench. And in that meeting is the FA that sits in, and not the Ministry of Sports. So they fill the names of the assistants of Marc Brys according to the FA. That is the Ndtoungou, Mpile you read, and the other guy. And so they came to the field with Kameni Carlos, whom you know, the former goalkeeper who today was appointed goalkeeper coach. But when they got to the stadium, Marc Brys just refused Kameni Carlos from getting to the stadium. He refused from getting near him. And so the goalkeepers, the 3 of them, Onana and the 2 others, trained without a goalkeeper coach on the day of the match.
Okay, I'd really like to know. I'd really like to know right now.
Appointed by the ministry, was also on the sidelines. And now, so only 2 technical officials finally sat on the technical bench on the day of the match.
Okay.
That is Marc Brys himself, and the fitness coach, that is Christophe Manouvier. Only those 2 sat on the bench.
Okay.
Okay, but I'd really love to know this. Is Marc Brys being used as a scapegoat to get to the main villain? We know the main villain in this situation. Is he used as a bait?
I think it's actually a pawn. I think it's a pawn in actually everything that's going on.
No, the real problem here is that when the government decided that in Cameroon, the government has always been at the forefront of the appointment of a coach of the national team. It has always been like that. Now, when they decided to appoint a new coach for the team, they asked the FA to provide a list of 3, which they did. No, they first of all asked them to provide a list of 10, which they did. And mind you, Marc Brys was amongst the list of 10. It is not the Ministry of Sports that went scouting for Marc Brys. It's the FA. But they had their own choice of 3. And when they brought in their choice, the government said their choice is too expensive for the government purse. And so they cannot get them. And they said they should look for somebody who is cheaper. And the FA pulled out of the meeting. And the ministry said, okay, if they pull out of the meeting, we will go ahead. That's how they went ahead. In the list of 10 that was provided by the FA, they got Marc Brys.
Okay, so
against the will of the FA.
Someone,
that's why till date, the FA is a daggers drawn.
Okay. Coach. Thank you so much, Simon. Thank you for putting so much clarity on this issue. But very quickly, before we let you go, who funds FECAFOOT? Is it self-run? Is it self-sustaining, or is it the Cameroonian government?
it is the Cameroonian government that funds the federation.
Aha. So it boils back to what you said earlier about he who pays the piper dictates the tune. So basically, as far as I'm concerned,
Exactly.
Samuel Eto'o is fighting a losing battle and is biting off more than he can chew. Samuel Younger, sports editor of Cameroon Radio and TV. Thank you so much for joining us
the country
tonight.
is divided between the two people, the two groups. Unfortunately, the country is divided between the two groups of people.
Oh, wow.
The Brys a very consistent group that is supporting Samuel Eto'o, and there is another group that's supporting the sports ministry.
Wow.
But if you look at it critically, there are so many people who are supporting Samuel Eto'o, not because he is either right or wrong, but because at last somebody has come who will stand against the state.
Which is a shame.
That is just it.
Samuel Younger, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Hopefully, this fiasco can end as quickly as possible, and the good people of Cameroon can pretty much forge forward with one united football house. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.